Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Jingheng Yang, and this is the first video I've ever made in my life. So please bear with me if the editing is not, it's weird somehow, or the fact that I don't really know how to implement technology in this video. Well, anyways, so I'm making this video as a project for a class of mine. The class is called New Media and Culture. So the topic today will be on new media and critical thinking. So I'm just trying to, share some idea. I've been thinking, like, this idea has been in my mind for a while. So I'm just trying to share my idea with you guys, and hopefully, this idea can make you think a little bit about yourself as well. To talk about new media and critical thinking, um, two key concepts that we talked about in our course will be mentioned in this video. The first concept is spreadable media, which means how easily information can be spreaded online, and where everyone can see it within a very short amount of time. And then the second concept is the participatory culture. A few examples would be, when um, we see news online, or when we read a post of social network, we can respond to that, and we can also share it, which ties with the spreadability. Also, we are no longer just consumers of information. We are also producers in a way, because by sharing or posting, um, we are we are our ideas are being shared with other people. Okay, so enough with the introduction. Let's just jump into the topic today. I believe we've all experienced this scenario where we see a negative news or post on Facebook, and then on the comment section, it was filled with anger, sadness, or all sort of negative energy. And then maybe a couple of days later, there's a new post coming out on the same subject, which which is against or overrides the first post. Maybe the same subject was looked at from a different angle. Um, Maybe someone discovered something else on some new fact on the news, and then on that comment section, the energy is like a 180-degree turn. It turns exactly the opposite from the first post. And if you are someone who commented on the first post, and then when you see the second post, do you feel like your emotion is being played some way? So your emotion was being triggered by something, and then you realize that something is actually a lie. And I just think we all hate that feeling. And I think what happened there was that when we see something, um, the first thing come to our mind is not reasoning, but instead is our emotion. So our emotion sometimes dictates our rational thinking, and we rarely judge um, if we should believe in what we see, but we just directly react to it. And I believe spreadability and participatory media definitely contributes to this issue, because in the past, when we see news from TV or from newspaper, we know it's from a formal type of publication, and you know somehow we kind of have a better judgment over those type of things. But nowadays, when information are shared by our friends, we tend to believe things more because if you know someone, if you trust someone, and then the information is being shared by that person, we automatically believe in that idea, or we automatically agree to their opinion. So this is a reason that I'm not really very involved with social media or social network, because there's too much information um, that's being fed to me every single day, and it's really hard for me to make the judgment on whether I should believe in what I see. So for all of us, it's probably a good idea to think critically about something, especially if you want to share a post um, on social media. You should really think about whether what you are sharing is true or not, because when you share something, kind of in a way you're saying that I approve this message, and I think we should all be responsible um, in terms of sharing, because you know what we share will be seen by our friends. So if something we just share mindlessly, then that's probably not the most responsible way of spreading information. Even though it is really hard to make the judgment now, because it's sometimes it's almost impossible for us to know something if something is true for sure, but at least we should make an effort and um, do as much as we can in terms of fact checking. Here I want to share a story with you guys. This story was told by a really famous Chinese journalist. um, so it was a speech he did in, I think it was, University of Washington. The story is that so he's a really famous Chinese journalist, right? Before China applied uh, our like open door policy, information are not being shared freely on media, and then all medias are controlled by the government. So right after China started the open door policy, when um, information are being shared more freely, especially with like outside, like other country outside of mainland China. Um, this journalist had a meeting with this Taiwanese journalist, and then the Taiwanese guy, it seemed actually really nice, surprisingly to him, because according to Chinese media, there's a certain image about Taiwanese journalists. So a question was asked by the Taiwanese journalist, and the guy asked him like, "Hey, I have a question. So why do people in mainland China likes to eat banana skins, banana peels?" And he was like, "What? No, we don't do that." And then this Taiwanese guy was like, "Oh, wow, that's what was taught to us according to Taiwan media, because they try to um, they try to they try to make people don't throw banana peels on the street all over the place. So they say that, like, don't throw the banana peels on the street and then actually throw it into the trash, because people in mainland China will eat them. So what we do is we collect them and then we ship them to mainland China." And then the Taiwanese guy was like, "Do you have any questions for me?" So this Chinese journalist asked him like, why do American guys likes to drive a a huge Jeep with a Taiwanese girl, and then they they hit people, get into car accident every single day?" And the Taiwanese and the Taiwanese guy was like, no, like I mean, there are things like that, but it doesn't happen every single day. So I think the moral of the story here is that so what is truth? Truth is what most people believe in before information was shared freely, before they can actually confirm with each other that what is actually happening in their country. To them, the truth is just what they were told. And that was the problem with not having enough information. So in the past, when we don't have enough information to confirm if what we see is true or not. But the problem with nowadays is that we have too much information. We have too much information. We have different information on the same subject, so it's harder for us to select, to be selective on what information we should absorb and what information we should just reject. And here are a few things that I consider um, before I believe or absorb some information. Um, the first thing I consider is that what's the purpose of this information? So everyone creates information with a purpose. For example, like if you see a video on YouTube about a recipe, and they teach you how to make a certain dish, and then at the end of the video, they're trying to sell you the spot that they were using, then probably the purpose of this video is not really trying to teach you how to make this dish, but instead they're trying to sell you this pot. So that's gonna make you question whether this recipe is the best way to make this dish, because maybe there are other ways that are better than the way they're making this dish in the video, but without using the product that they're trying to sell you. And if that's the case, then you shouldn't really think that recipe would be the best recipe for you to make this dish. So when we see some information, and then when we realize that the purpose of the person who creates this information uh, will somehow affect the the truthfulness of the information, then that's an alert, and we should start questioning whether this information should be is trustworthy or not. Um, Another thing that I consider, or another method that I use, is just wait a few days. Um, I had well, so on this Chinese social media, um, this artist, like he's been on the news several times. Every time he's on the news, he was he was dead of heart attack. He was dead like maybe 4 or 5 times over a few years on the social media. And every time on the news he dies, a few days later, someone else come out and saying, "Oh, that was a fake news." So yeah, same thing for other news. Wait a few days and see if there's other news about the same subject coming out, and if that there are better information later down the road than the one you're having right now, that will help you to get a better understanding, or get a better idea about that subject. And another thing we can do is compare information. As I mentioned earlier, um, right nowadays we have too many different information on the same subject, and it's okay. We should, just consider all of them and see which one tells the most consistent story. And sometimes maybe they are all good. They all seem to be true, but also they don't agree with each other. And a lot of times, I guess it's okay for us to keep an open mind about some issue. We don't have to take a position in an issue, we can just accept that we don't really know um, what's the truth on this matter, and it's definitely okay. You know, we can still talk with our friends and then bring out the different stories on this issue, and then just see what everyone else thinks about it. So to conclude my video, I guess what I'm trying to say in this video is that in this age, with um, new media, social media, um, it is definitely okay to share, to spread information, and uh, to participate with new media and information. But this this era requires us with better critical thinking skills in order to share responsibly. Share responsibly. Before we didn't have this responsibility to think critically. At least the damage we do won't be as much compared with nowadays, because in the past we can only share with so many people that people close to us, we can talk to them. But now our opinion actually matters to so many people, and if we lack of critical thinking skills, then our ignorance will affect the world. And that's why we see there are so much fake news, useless information, uh, information with no content being shared on Facebook or other. I mean, Facebook is the only social media that I'm on, which I'm not even that active. So that's why I'm using Facebook as an example in this video so much. So yeah, if we can all start let rational thinking takes over our emotion, then I believe uh, the whole online environment will be healthier, will be more intellectual, and that will actually make the society greater. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching my video. Sorry if I seem too nervous, because I've never done a video before in my life. But who knows? I might just start this YouTube channel, and then every once in a while I will upload some video um, about ideas that comes to my mind. I do have a lot of interesting ideas that comes to me, but I'm not very good at talking, especially on camera, and I'm not very good with the structure of my talk. So I hope my video wasn't too bad. And if the whole thing confuses you, then just please ignore it. And yeah, hopefully I can make better videos in the future. Well, thanks for watching, and have a great rest of your day.